prepared in the event of an emergency. You're an outdoor sports enthusiast. New Manna is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from New Manna. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure water pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 8th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.85 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,346 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $633. Antiwar.com reports the new report from the Center for International Policy is revealing that over the course of his term in office, President Barack Obama has offered Saudi Arabia over $115 billion in arms and other military equipment in 42 separate deals, by far the most of any U.S. administration. The data from the report came from the Defense Security Cooperation Agency, a Pentagon body that provides figures on international military sales. Most of the deals were ultimately approved, and large amounts of the weapons are still to be delivered. This comes amid growing international disquiet about Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen, which the U.S. is participating in. Huge civilian casualties, chiefly the result of Saudi airstrikes, are raising pressure on the Obama administration to do something to limit the violence. Though the U.S. has given some lip service to being opposed to the huge civilian toll, officials have rejected all calls to limit arms sales to Saudi Arabia over the war, insisting that the sales give them leverage over the Saudi kingdom. That huge amount of arms are still to be delivered suggests that the Saudis are looking to add to their already substantial war-launching capability, and that the U.S. is only too willing to comply. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports one of the oldest and most popular national parks in the United States is seeing its largest expansion in nearly 70 years, with the addition of several hundred acres of wetland and wildlife area, according to officials on Wednesday. The National Park Service said in a statement that Yosemite National Park was gifted the 400-acre Ackerson Meadow, a critical wetlands and meadow habitat on the park's western boundary. Officials said the historic expansion is the result of a cooperative effort between the Trust for Public Land, Yosemite Conservancy, and the National Park Service. The Trust for Public Land bought Ackerson Meadow from a private owner for $2.3 million earlier this year. Established in 1890, Yosemite is the third oldest U.S. national park. It covers about 1,200 square miles of land and regularly ranks among the top 5 most visited national parks on an annual basis. Yosemite Conservancy President Frank Dean said the original Yosemite boundary plan of 1890 included Ackerson Meadow, so it's exciting to finally have this important place protected. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports a sheriff's department in North Dakota has issued an arrest warrant for Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein for damaging equipment during a protest on Tuesday over construction of an oil pipeline. Stein was part of a group protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline and spray-painted construction equipment, according to Morton County Sheriff's Department. Stein does not dispute the account. Protesters who say the project will damage burial sites considered sacred to a nearby Native American tribe and pollute the drinking water also attached themselves to bulldozers and broke a fence. Stein, a 66-year-old doctor and environmental activist from Massachusetts, said in a statement that she had spray-painted the words, "I approve this message," onto a bulldozer, a nod to the phrase American politicians append to their advertisements to comply with transparency laws. The Green Party opposes continued investment in oil extraction because of its links to climate change. Stein Stein said in her statement, "I hope the North Dakota authorities press charges against the real vandalism taking place at the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, the bulldozing of sacred burial sites, and the unleashing of vicious attack dogs," a reference to pipeline security officials having used dogs and pepper spray on protesters over the weekend. Stein was arrested during her 2012 presidential campaign for trespassing in Texas when she tried to take supplies to protesters opposed to the Keystone XL pipeline. She was also arrested outside the 2012 presidential debate between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney at Hofstra University. That university is hosting the first presidential debate in 2016, and Stein vows to show up whether she receives an invitation or not. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's a landmark day in the March for Equality here in America. Congress passed the Casinos for Fairness Act today, which gives every mistreated group in America the right to open a casino.
It worked with Native Americans. It will work for the rest of the country. If our society has kept you down, you will get a casino to pull yourselves back up.
Veterans will also have the right to open a casino as a replacement for costlier benefit programs.
I think it'd be nice to have a casino. I mean, I'd rather still be able to walk, but, you know.
While the majority of the country is hailing the Casino Act as a step forward, many Native Americans are objecting to the law.
We are still the most disadvantaged group in America. So all that we ask is that we be allowed to open whorehouses and start legally selling cocaine.
The bill raised the question of whether immigrants should be allowed to own casinos. After much debate, the legislature decided that they would not, but they will be able to sell sliced mango on the street without a vendor license.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the numbers here momentarily where you will be able to call in and bring up whatever is on your mind. Of course, we do have things that we have brought to the table, and we're going to start the evening with a story that was teased last night. In studio tonight, the we is me, Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And Jill Stein, the Green Party presidential candidate, has an arrest warrant out that, according to, well, pretty much every media outlet, the North Dakota judge, I believe it was Greene County, I'll double check here later in the article, but a North Dakota judge has issued an arrest warrant for Jill Stein. She is charged with trespass and criminal mischief for allegedly vandalizing equipment at a pipeline opposed by a Native American tribe and also by environmentalists. Morton County is where this comes from. Morton County, North Dakota, the sheriff there, Kyle Kirchmeyer, said that Stein and her vice presidential candidate, Ajamu Baraka, were being charged with the 2 misdemeanors for spray painting messages on a bulldozer on Tuesday. He said he was alerted to video of Stein painting, "I approve this message," on the equipment. The "I approve this message," of course, being a nod to what candidates say in advertisements that they actually approve, and it's something that is required by law. If you, as a candidate, are part of having a political ad made, at the end you must say, "My name is, and I approve this message."
Yes, that's what they do. I know this because I'm running for office myself there, Mr. Darryl.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this story kind of reminds me what has taken place in my life just recently, running for office, having the campaign signs out there. You get people like Jill Stein who are running for office because she thinks we need government to protect us from bad people.
Sure.
From people who will break our things, get in our faces, and, you know, basically hurt other people.
Right.
And it really, I find it very hypocritical of her to do something like this, where she goes out, she's saying we need government to keep us safe, and what is she doing? She's breaking the law herself, breaking other people's things. These people who took my signs in the last couple of days, because that's what happened, and I'm a little upset right now about it. I found another one missing. They probably believe, they're probably an opponent, someone who believes we need more government to protect us from bad people, and what are they doing? They're doing it's so hypocritical that I want to punch people in the face right now.
There's a huge difference between somebody stealing your yard sign and Jill Stein protesting the use of eminent domain to steal land from people to build a pipeline that will then destroy the land. Because this pipeline, the Dakota Pipeline, is going to go right through a river that provides drinking water for millions of people.
Well, to me, we shouldn't even be getting to that argument. We should be talking about eminent domain, Donald Trump, and the taking of land in the first place to provide to a commercial venture. So you can't really state that there is some benefit to
is she actually protesting?
Do anything.
Yeah, is she actually protesting eminent domain, or is she protesting the pipeline? Because a lot of times, like the guys here in New Hampshire who are all anti-pipeline, doesn't have anything to do with eminent domain. It has to do with their trees,
right? Or not in my neighborhood,
right?
Not in my backyard.
We don't want to see that eyesore. And I'm just like, well, that's the wrong argument.
Well, 4 years ago, she was arrested for trespassing for trying to take food and water to protesters in Texas that were protesting the Keystone Pipeline. So, and again, the Keystone Pipeline only exists because of government using eminent domain to steal land from people.
And give it to their cronies.
Yes. Continuing with the article here from the Wall Street Journal, the spokeswoman for the Stein campaign said she spray-painted the message onto a bulldozer that she alleged had been used days earlier to damage ancestral grave sites of the Sioux tribe. She also said that pipeline personnel at the time released dogs on the protesters. Stein said in the statement, "I hope the North Dakota authorities press charges against the real vandalism taking place at the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, the bulldozing of sacred burial sites, and the unleashing of vicious attack dogs." The Standing Rock Sioux tribe has been protesting the $3.8 billion Dakota Access Pipeline, which would carry crude from North Dakota to Illinois, again, using eminent domain, and that's something that is not mentioned enough in these articles about this pipeline. They'll mention the cost, and they'll mention where the pipeline is running, but these articles are not mentioning that this thing exists only because of eminent domain.
Okay, say she is out there, and say it's her land. Okay, and eminent domain, her land has been taken from her. Maybe she was paid a little bit for it, but, she didn't want to give it up. Taken from her. Bulldozers are out there. Now does she have a right to vandalize this property? Would she be in the right in that case? I mean, when do you start? When it is okay to use violence in this situation is what I'm asking.
Well, that's the question that we face all the time. When is it okay to use violence when some violent act is perpetrated against us? Right. This is a question you're trying to make it into
especially when it's already been established. I guess they decided a long time ago that this land was going to be used for this purpose. Well, and these people probably didn't show up to the meetings because they might not have known about them, or this could never happen to us, and now it's here. It's on
or
their,
maybe
it's on
they
their
did
doorstep.
show up, and I don't know if they did or not. But a lot of times, even when people show up to the meetings, because it's the cronies that are voting, and I believe this because it's a multi-state thing. This would have been federal, not in North Dakota.
And I'm sure the only answer was Kelo versus City of New London.
Right.
That's the end of the story. And for those of you not familiar with it, that was a case of the City of New London, Connecticut, taking land for eminent domain to then transfer to commercial.
Pfizer.
Yeah.
They gave it to Pfizer.
Right. And they wanted to do that. Their argument before the Supreme Court was this will be good for the community. It'll create jobs. It'll bring in money, yada, yada, yada. But it was, I would say it's safe to say, a real stretch of the takings clause of the Fifth Amendment.
Certainly. Your calls certainly welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The Wall Street Journal article that we're reading from mentions that a federal judge is expected to rule sometime this week on whether to issue a temporary injunction. And, well, that actually came out earlier today, or actually, no, came out late yesterday, but was not necessarily reflected in this Wall Street Journal article. We'll get into that later as well. As the protests have grown more heated in recent weeks, police and pipeline opponents have disagreed over who has been provoking the clashes. The sheriff said he withdrew his officers from the protest on Tuesday because he said some protesters wore masks and carried hatchets. although there's no evidence that anybody actually used said hatchets in any kind of way. And something that I find to be very interesting is all of the pictures that I've seen. It looks like the police have shown up dressed for a riot.
I didn't know there were a whole lot of police out at this event. I thought it was pipeline security with dogs.
I thought they had a lot of private security.
Right. I saw cops in a helicopter way over in the distance, but I don't know how many cops are actually at this thing.
I don't know how many.
Protecting the people from being viciously attacked by dogs.
I don't know how many police have been there either, but again, what I've seen, the police that are there look like they're ready for a riot, and generally they're there to protect the pipeline people against the protesters that are saying, we don't want you stealing our land and putting this thing through our graveyard. Now, as far as, let's get back to the vandalism aspect of this. Is it really vandalism to spray paint a piece of equipment that is only there because taxpayer dollars were given to the construction of this pipeline? Well, would that not be akin to if somebody, spray painted the hubcaps of a police vehicle purple?
And that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, this I brought up the yard sign thing. There is some similarities, but not a whole lot.
No,
when it comes to the fact that these are.
This is closer to somebody spray painting the hubcaps of a police cruiser purple. It's basically government property.
You're acting on behalf of the state.
855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
I'm Governor Gary Johnson. Like 60% of you, I'm not impressed by the two-party system. It's a dinosaur. It's outmoded and no longer reflects today's America. Two-party politics doesn't work, and it hasn't worked for anybody but itself in decades. If we the people are wise, we will never again elect another president from within the entrenched, corrupt, co-opted two-party system. The office of president should serve the needs of everyone equally, with respect and with fairness. I did it as governor, I'll do it as president. Google me. 60% of you have said you want another choice in 2016, and now you have one in me. We the people have a chance to do something in 2016 that may not come around again in our lifetimes. We have a legitimate chance to elect one of our own to the highest office in the land. Give me your vote one time and see what a difference one election can make.
Our best America yet. Johnson Weld, 2016.
Paid for by Gary Johnson, 2016.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP? We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solarc is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solarc is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solarc beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solarc is energy insurance for your family.
I just got off the phone with New York. We are the #1 network in the world. And it is an honor to stand before you at such an exciting time. We're stretching boundaries that will irreparably alter people's perception of what they are willing to watch. And our next season will offer tantalizing programming that plays seamlessly into the desire of our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you just a taste of what ODS has to offer.
You know the rules. Grow a pumpkin or go home. Here's the twist. Only one of you has the real pumpkin seeds.
Are you a pumpkin or not?
You call yourselves pumpkin growers?
I know I didn't get the pumpkin seeds. I dug in there. They're bean sprouts.
Starting a pumpkin alliance. Anyone grows a pumpkin, we split the money.
Get out of my patch.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,344 per ounce. Silver is 3 cents lower at $19.81 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $626 US. Check out our selection of Royal Canadian Mint products, beautiful bars and coins with enhanced security features. For more information, call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Conan.
And we're talking about Jill Stein, the Green Party presidential candidate. And, you know, I just have an annoying sort of nit to pick here. Jill Stein has a doctorate. And you know, people that have doctorates, you should refer to, if you're going to use the, last name, refer to them as Dr. So-and-so. The article here from the New York Times repeatedly refers to her as Miss Stein, and then in a quote, they do use the, title Dr. Jill Stein.
The correct honorific.
Yeah.
Miss as in unmarried miss?
MS.
Ms.
Yeah, so she actually is married, and she has a doctorate. So I think it's one of those things to where I don't know if they're intentionally, trying to be what's the term that I'm not disingenuous, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sort of backhandedly demeaning her a little bit. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it is something that I find kind of annoying. Again, she was at a protest, protesting the Dakota Pipeline a couple days ago, spray painted a piece of equipment. She painted the words, "I approve this message," and, well, her and her running mate have charges of trespass and criminal mischief, and it's I guess only a matter of time before she actually winds up getting arrested for this. And it would, again, not be the first time that Jill Stein's ever been arrested. She was arrested, we mentioned earlier in the show, during the 2012 campaign, not just for trespass for trying to take food and supplies to protesters that were protesting the Keystone XL pipeline, but she was also arrested outside of Hofstra University while trying to attend the first presidential debate, I believe it was the first, of the 2012 season, and didn't matter that she had a ticket. Nope, you are a presidential candidate. You were not invited. Here's a set of matching bracelets that connect, and you're coming with us. And, well, Hofstra is hosting the first presidential debate of this season in about 2 weeks, and she has vowed to, again, try to attend that debate.
And she's getting all this publicity. So, I mean, you know what? Here's my question. Do you think that Gary Aleppo Johnson is going to smoke pot in public?
No. No, he's doing this respectability politics thing to where I have to always wear a suit and tie and have to, show up and act like I'm a member of the Republican or Democratic Party, and I can't actually say the word libertarian unless I say I'm libertarian-minded, and I can only define the word libertarian by saying conservative and liberal in the definition.
But do you think that's working for him?
Define working.
Is he actually getting the numbers, more numbers than the last run?
Sure, because he's actually being included in the polls this time. He does have about twice the polling numbers of Jill Stein, And I don't necessarily, know if that's because, he's doing this respectability politics thing, or if it's just because he's been in the news a little bit more because the Libertarian Party nominated back in May, and the Green Party didn't nominate until August.
I think it's fair to say that Darryl's not feeling the Johnson.
He's not. You know what?
He's not.
I'm thinking that the Bernie boys are not feeling the Johnson, but if he was to do a stunt like this, he would.
But he never would.
He would bring a lot of attention to the war on drugs and how silly it is.
Right.
And I think he can pick these people up who are, the liberal weed smokers as opposed to the libertarian conservative weed smokers.
On that point, it was a. So let me go back to like one of my first things I did after I moved to New Hampshire a few years ago.
Smoke some weed.
Nope, didn't do that.
Shot a gun.
Do that anyway. I went down to a 420 rally in Concord.
Okay.
And I recognized a couple state reps that were there, and this one happened to be on like a Sunday. It's when 420 happened to fall. But they were there. They were wearing their suits. They were wearing their name tags. They were wearing their little pins. I thought that's really cool. These guys coming out here,
very
and
classy.
So they're professionals. Those guys are sharp, and I've since become friends with them. But it was really interesting and cool and surprising to see, state reps in New Hampshire reach into their pocket, pull out a pipe, pull out a joint, and fire up on the steps of the Capitol building. Now that is allegedly, or whatever happened to be in that. But that's civil disobedience. And,
yes.
They could have been arrested. Technically, you could get arrested for that.
Back in 2004, the Libertarian Party presidential candidate and the Green Party presidential candidate showed up to one of the presidential debates together and were jointly arrested, trying to go into the debate with tickets.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is I kind of agree with you, Conan, that those displays... they provide a powerful message. Now, maybe that gets to everybody. It's going to get the people that do feel that way about a particular issue.
Right. But
if it becomes an arrest like this one, hey, at least we're talking about eminent domain in this room, and maybe more people are too.
Right. But when the entire point of your campaign is to reach out to Republicans and Democrats, you have to act like a Republican or a Democrat, and respectable Republicans and Democrats don't get arrested.
And you know what? I don't think they're getting those votes. So he might as well, reach out and try to get the people who are on the couches and they're not even coming to vote.
I tell you what, call up the consultant that's getting 62% of all of the fundraising money that Johnson Weld is bringing in, and tell that guy, because I guarantee you, the guy that's getting 62% of the fundraising money is telling Gary Johnson, act like a Republican.
I thought we were talking about Jill Stein.
Or you'll lose your funding.
Let's get back to the article here about Jill Stein being arrested. Wall Street Journal says that the protest organizers have said that it was the private security guards that provoked the protesters who were otherwise conducting a peaceful rally. The Sioux agreed that the pipeline will put the tribe's water supply at risk and also harm sacred and culturally important sites. On its Facebook page, the local sheriff's department, the Morton County Sheriff's Department, posted a photo that showed Jill Stein spray painting a message on a piece of equipment. And they appended the message, presidential candidate for the Green Party, Dr. Jill Stein, is pictured here vandalizing Dakota Access Pipeline equipment in Morton County.
And by the way, all of the places you can vandalize on a bulldozer, spray painting the
blade.
The dozer, the blade, it's big whoop.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to be gone after a couple of shovels.
Yes. Now, getting into the actual court case now about trying to halt the construction of this pipeline. It was mentioned by the Wall Street Journal that a judge was expected to rule on this by the end of the week, and NPR has some info on that we will get into here in moments. And, of course, your phone calls. Should presidential candidates be respectable and only ever try to appear to be upstanding, or should they go out and commit acts of civil disobedience to get some publicity for things they believe in? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
ProPure water filters, making water great again. Taste and feel the difference with state-of-the-art filter technology. Pro 1 G2.0 and Pro Max filters are independent lab-tested to NSF standards. Choose from Gravity, countertop, pitcher, shower, and inline filtration products. There's a ProPure for you. Buy risk-free today. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get into the story here from NPR about the court ruling on the Dakota Access Pipeline. That, of course, being the pipeline that Dr. Jill Stein of the Green Party, as well as her running mate, Jamu Baraka, were protesting. They both now have warrants out for their arrest. But there's been, some other court action on that. We'll get into that here in just a moment. Us in studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris, and Conan.
And where do you guys want to be in late February? How about...
Not snowed in.
How about Anarchapulco? Jeffrey Tucker, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, Roger Veer, Josie Wells, Derek J., formerly of Free Talk Live, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, also formerly of Free Talk Live, Lauren Rumpler, Julia Taransky, Christopher David, and many more will all be at Anarchapulco. It's the world's foremost conference for voluntarist thinkers and activists, and it's held annually in beautiful Acapulco. That, by the way, it's in Mexico. They bring together hundreds of principled anarchists and voluntarists to share ideas on how to live free and escape the clutches of the state and central banks. Their unparalleled lineup of speakers will discuss entrepreneurship, investment, politics, philosophy, health, sustainability, lifestyle, and personal relationship for 4 days among the sun and the beaches of a world-class resort. You do not want to miss it. It's February 25th through the 28th at Mundo Imperial Resort and Expo. Go to anarchapulco.com for early bird tickets. That's anarchapulco.com. So there was a ruling, a temporary ruling, but a ruling nonetheless, where a federal judge has granted part of a Native American tribe's emergency request to halt construction of a section of the Dakota Access Pipeline. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe fears that the pipeline could contaminate its drinking water and sacred lands, and U.S. District Judge James Boasberg's temporary restraining order is a mixed victory for both sides, according to the Bismarck Tribune. In the motion filed on Sunday, the tribe had sought protection for a larger area along the planned route of the $3.8 billion Dakota Access Pipeline, which is set to span some 1,200 miles from North Dakota to Illinois. The area not covered, according to NPR, by the judge's order, includes lands that the tribe is particularly concerned about protecting. Work in that area, west of State Highway 1806 in North Dakota, started over the weekend. Tuesday's ruling is part of a larger lawsuit filed in July seeking an injunction against the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which authorized the pipeline's construction. NPR says that, as they've reported previously, the tribe filed a complaint with the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, arguing that the Army Corps of Engineers did not follow proper procedure when it gave Dallas-based Energy Transfer Partners the go-ahead to build the pipeline. The judge is expected to rule on Friday on whether to grant the tribe's request for an injunction. So this is just a temporary, hey guys, stop working until Friday until I come out with an actual ruling.
Well, I mean, at least like the governor hasn't called out the National Guard or anything yet. Oh, no.
Yet.
No. He has. He has called out the National Guard.
I saw a headline that he might, but I did not know that he actually had.
Yeah.
And again, this is going to protect the pipeline workers from the protesters, even though it's the pipeline security, according to the protesters, that have unleashed attack dogs on them.
Yeah, according to InsideEnergy.org, North Dakota governor calls in National Guard in pipeline protest. The governor of North Dakota has called in the National Guard to assist law enforcement with the Dakota Access Pipeline protest. The call for the Guard comes in anticipation of a federal judge's decision Friday that could halt construction on the project. The pipeline is slated to cross the Missouri River next to Standing Rock Sioux Reservation.
Right, and again, they're worried, they, in this case being the Sioux tribe, they're worried that this pipeline going through the river is possibly going to, taint or possibly contaminate their drinking water. And that river supplies drinking water for, I believe it was 1.8 million people. So we're not talking about just a couple dozen people that might wind up having to use, like Purell filters or something. We're talking about a lot of people that could wind up getting tainted water.
Yeah, but at least that never happened in a big city like Flint, Michigan. So we're good there. National Guardsmen will serve in administrative capacities and provide security at traffic points. Governor Jack Dalrymple said at a press conference Thursday. So there you go. They're just going to be there for administrative purposes and for traffic stops.
Right.
To enforce the law.
Right.
The article from NPR talking about the lawsuit continues. In the tribe's emergency motion, the Standing Rock Sioux accused the developers, that's Energy Transfer, which is a subsidiary of Dakota Access LLC, of razing areas on private land that the tribe's cultural experts recently discovered were significant. The tribe described the events in the following court document. In the afternoon of Friday, September 2nd, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe further submitted recently discovered evidence of an astonishing archaeological find. This find concerned historically, culturally, and religiously important stone features and grave markings to the successor of the Great Sioux Nation, including graves of chiefs, warriors, and the bear medicine healers. These formations and grave sites are adjacent to and in the pipeline's proposed right-of-way approximately 1 to 2 miles away from the Lake Ohi crossing site. Less than 24 hours after the SRST's filing, Dakota Access desecrated and destroyed the sites described in the SRST's declaration. The company responded that it did not destroy and is not destroying any evidence or important historical sites. And of course, if they've destroyed it, then there's no evidence that it existed before it was destroyed.
Ding, 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 ding. You get it. But
heads up, guys, if you find any bones, just throw them in this bag and don't tell anybody.
Exactly. And this is the insanity of it. For all intents and purposes, this is a government project.
Right.
When government grants a specific company the ability to do something, then that company is pretty much acting on behalf of the government.
Yeah, just build it wherever you want. We don't care. We'll take the land.
Oh, no.
It's federal land anyway because it's on the reservation. So just go ahead. Do whatever you want over there.
It's not going to be take it wherever you want. It's going to be this congressman owns this strip of land, and if that land rose suddenly in value because you're building this through here, or it falls and he can short it, whatever it happens to be, that's the first thing.
Right. No, I'm talking specifically about the part of the pipeline going through the reservation.
True.
The feds don't care about that. They're like, it's all federal land anyway.
Exactly.
Just wherever you want to build in that reservation, it's fine.
Yet, if you, dear listener, happen to live anywhere where any society has ever lived, you will be strung through the courts. You will be prosecuted for putting a spade into the ground in the wrong spot.
And
that's just how it is.
For trying to build your garage a couple of square feet larger than you've been allowed to.
And don't you dare rent out that spare bedroom in your house without checking every ordinance that has ever been written. We talked about this last night, where the city of Santa Monica is going after people for renting a room for less than 30 days, specifically targeted at people running Airbnb or something along those lines. But I had a brain thingy to where I realized technically anybody that rents a single room in their house during the month of February is in violation of that ordinance, because February only has 28 days, 29 on leap year. So you cannot rent month to month and include the month of February.
And they'll tell you
you're going to jail.
Darryl, they'll tell you it's for your safety. But we went to this event in Concord earlier this year. Guess who was there? Hotel lobbyists. They don't want Airbnb, it's competition.
855-450 free. This is Free Talk Live.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-929-5733. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-929-5733. 1-800-929-5733.
Attention small business owners. Want to save money on your employee health insurance plan? Learn the little-known solution that could save thousands of dollars on your health insurance benefits and save your employees money, too. Call Health Markets for a free consultation, and one of our 3,000 local agents will show you how to make healthcare reform work for you. We'll design customized solutions for your business that can lower healthcare costs for you and your employees. We'll work directly with you to determine your needs. We search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide. You'll also find out if tax credits could save you money. Best of all, the service is free of charge. See why Health Markets has enrolled Americans in more than 2 million insurance policies. You don't have to wait for open enrollment to lower your cost. Call now. Find out how much you and your employees could be saving.
Representatives are standing by to assist you. Call 800-930-5137. That's 800-930-5137. 800-930-5137.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the North Dakota Pipeline, specifically the Dakota Access Pipeline, and some of the legal issues surrounding it. Not just the legal issues surrounding the building of the pipeline, but also of some of the protesters, specifically Jill Stein and Ajamu Baraka, the Green Party presidential and vice presidential nominees, who now have arrest warrants because they were there protesting, and Jill Stein spray-painted the words, "I approve this message," onto the front end of a bulldozer. And Conan, I like how you pointed out, of all the places to spray paint on a bulldozer, that's the place where the graffiti will last the least amount of time.
Yeah, Jill, you're supposed to put sugar in the tank or break the windows out with rocks, or, there's all kinds of things you could do.
I don't think bulldozers generally have windows.
Yeah, sure they do.
The one place by operating something, it will literally clean itself. Yeah, so, okay.
But hey, this is
I admire.
We're talking about a greenie people. These people are still using hoes and rakes and stuff to do their gardening. It's something of this this mass.
And you use chickens and rabbits to clear your land. You don't really have a lot of room to talk.
Okay.
But the other legal issue is the actual legal issues being brought up by the Standing Rock Sioux, where they're saying that Energy Transfer, which is the subsidiary of Dakota Access LLC, that's actually doing the bulldozing and raising of the land, that they have destroyed some sacred sites on the reservation. And, well, there's at least been a temporary restraining order, temporary halt to the construction. The judge in this case is expected to issue a full ruling on Friday of this week. The article again from NPR continues. Tribal Chairman Dave Archambault II told Prairie Public Broadcasting that he is disappointed with the restraining order, quote, because I know more of our sacred sites are going to be destroyed. I'm okay with the fact that we know there's not going to be any more construction near the camp on the east side of the highway. I'm not happy with the ruling, however, because there's a lot of land being destroyed, end quote. Tensions over the pipeline have escalated recently. Hundreds of Native Americans from tribes nationwide have camped near the construction site in North Dakota. As reported previously, one demonstration over the weekend turned violent. Some protesters ended up bloodied, and the local sheriff said 3 private security officers had been hurt. Now, they don't mention here that the protesters had dogs unleashed on them,
which somebody caught on the camera. So it's not really a question of whether it really happened or not. It just happened.
Right. And I'm wondering if the private security that, quote, had been hurt somehow, got a rope burn on their hand from trying to pull the leash of the dog.
No, actually, one of the dogs, I believe, was attacking one of the handlers.
Interesting.
It turned on him, so maybe that was the one. But he might have gotten some sand in his eye or something. He got flicked up from the skirmish.
Yeah, now we're talking about private security and things like that. So it's one of those stories that if the whole thing had been put together differently, I'd be completely on the other side. If Energy Transfer Partners went in and found a whole bunch of willing buyers that allowed them enough room to get from point A to point B, I'd be completely against protesters, because now we're talking about property rights.
Right.
You legitimately purchased land that you are going to then use. You're going to apply your labor to it, and it's going to have greater value. And that's all a great thing.
And you have some individuals who don't want their trees cut down or something like we're having here in
say
New Hampshire.
They're next to it.
But the whole idea of pipelines, if they're legal, the land has been purchased and whatnot. Pipelines are the way to go. I mean, get those trucks off our highways.
Right. It's safe.
It's so much more efficient.
Safe, efficient, all that. It's great. But that's not the case, and that's not how most pipelines get built anymore. They get built through the power of the government. The federal government is going to side with somebody. They are going to, in essence, partner with big business to make something happen. And
right, and that's one of the things during the entire discussion of the Keystone XL pipeline, when that was going through Congress. I think there were one member of Congress that actually mentioned anything about eminent domain, and that was Justin Amash.
Right. But that should be, and I think the three of us
that should be the thing that they're discussing.
That should be the only thing.
These lawmakers believe that it is for the good. I just said pipelines are more efficient. So all these legislators have to tell themselves to sleep easy at night is this is for the general welfare of the people. This is a good thing. So it can only be right.
Right. And they know that, thank you, Kelo versus City of New London, that should this thing wind up in the courts, that they have court cases behind them that they can go to and say, look, you said it was okay when we did it here. Isn't it okay if we do it here? It's just a slippery slope.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what comes of the court case. Again, that ruling is expected by the end of this week. Judge James Boasberg is the judge presiding over that case. Again, your thoughts, welcome on this or whatever is on your mind. 855-450 free.
You mentioned when it sets precedent, these court cases. There's a very similar case going on here in our a town here in New Hampshire, Portsmouth, and it's been going on for many, many years now. A man owns a piece of property. He bought it, and it has a sewer line, a city sewer line that's feeding 30 homes. He didn't know it was there when he bought the property, and the city is taking 4.5 acres from his land.
Well, there's
using eminent domain.
There's one major difference between the Dakota Access Pipeline and this, attempted use of eminent domain in New Hampshire, and that is after the aforementioned Kelo v. New London case, the New Hampshire legislature amended the New Hampshire Constitution to say no part of a person's property shall be taken by eminent domain and transferred directly or indirectly to another person if the taking is for the purpose of private development or other private use of the property.
And that's why this guy is probably going to win this case, and he's been winning every case they've taken, or he's been taken to. His estimate is City of Portsmouth has spent $4 million in the last decade trying to get this man's land.
Over it was what, $500,000 to move it in the first place?
All they had to do, they can move it around his property, $500,000, done.
Yeah, right.
Done. They probably could have built a better one too, and a more updated version of what they need.
They could have probably built it over it and hung swing sets from it for the children to play on.
Exactly.
But now they're so entrenched in we have to be right.
Yeah.
That they don't care how much other people's money they're spending.
It's not their money, and it's for the statement. It's just like the Robin Hood case here in Keene, where they just can't lose. Every time they go to court, they lose.
No, they keep losing.
Well,
they just can't admit that they've lost, and they can't say that they can't admit the fight's over. It would be like in Rocky. Let's just say that,
hey,
Rocky. Right. Let's say that at the end of the movie, nobody got knocked out, but, he's definitely getting his butt handed to him. And they're like, no, there's another round. Just keep putting rounds on the thing, and we'll just keep going. I don't care that my eyeball popped out of my socket and I can't see, and my arm doesn't move. Put another round.
Actually, I would. That's the move. That's the. By the way, I haven't seen any of them, but I would watch that. I would watch that one.
the Black Knight from That's the character, the Black Knight from Monty Python
from Batman.
No.
Go ahead.
No.
I don't know. Oh, the Black Knight. It's just a it's just
where he got his arms cut off and his legs, and he's like, I'll bite your nose off. Okay, we'll call it a draw. Where he's, just like he cannot admit that he has lost.
But at least those were his limbs. In the case of these two situations, it's our money that is being spent to attack one of our neighbors, and that's where it is most ridiculous and hurtful.
Sadly, let's go to the phones. Not sad about going to the phone, sad about the fact that they're using stolen money against me and my friends. We've got Joe calling in from Alabama. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, Darryl, I don't remember if you were in Birmingham at the time in which Walmart was wanting to come out on 65 outside Birmingham, and a lady had 100-something acres and been in the family for many years, and she didn't want to sell. And the little city kept saying, but Walmart will bring so much money and jobs to the community.
I don't remember that, but I do remember when the city council wound up giving Walmart a plot of land and a bunch of money. I'm going to put you on hold, Joe, if you want to hang over through the news. They gave Walmart this plot of land, a bunch of money to move 3 miles to move into city limits.
Well then.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 8th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.85 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,346 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $633. Antiwar.com reports the new report from the Center for International Policy is revealing that over the course of his term in office, President Barack Obama has offered Saudi Arabia over $115 billion in arms and other military equipment in 42 separate deals, by far the most of any U.S. administration. The data from the report came from the Defense Security Cooperation Agency, a Pentagon body that provides figures on international military sales. Most of the deals were ultimately approved, and large amounts of the weapons are still to be delivered. This comes amid growing international disquiet about Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen, which the U.S. is participating in. Huge civilian casualties, chiefly the result of Saudi airstrikes, are raising pressure on the Obama administration to do something to limit the violence. Though the U.S. has given some lip service to being opposed to the huge civilian toll, officials have rejected all calls to limit arms sales to Saudi Arabia over the war, insisting that the sales give them leverage over the Saudi kingdom. That huge amount of arms are still to be delivered suggests that the Saudis are looking to add to their already substantial war-launching capability, and that the U.S. is only too willing to comply. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports one of the oldest and most popular national parks in the United States is seeing its largest expansion in nearly 70 years, with the addition of several hundred acres of wetland and wildlife area, according to officials on Wednesday. The National Park Service said in a statement that Yosemite National Park was gifted the 400-acre Ackerson Meadow, a critical wetlands and meadow habitat on the park's western boundary. Officials said the historic expansion is the result of a cooperative effort between the Trust for Public Land, Yosemite Conservancy, and the National Park Service. The Trust for Public Land bought Ackerson Meadow from a private owner for $2.3 million earlier this year. Established in 1890, Yosemite is the third oldest U.S. national park. It covers about 1,200 square miles of land and regularly ranks among the top 5 most visited national parks on an annual basis. Yosemite Conservancy President Frank Dean said the original Yosemite boundary plan of 1890 included Ackerson Meadow, so it's exciting to finally have this important place protected. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numeri supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports a sheriff's department in North Dakota has issued an arrest warrant for Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein for damaging equipment during a protest on Tuesday over construction of an oil pipeline. Stein was part of a group protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline and spray-painted construction equipment, according to Morton County Sheriff's Department. Stein does not dispute the account. protesters who say the project will damage burial sites considered sacred to a nearby Native American tribe and pollute the drinking water also attached themselves to bulldozers and broke a fence. Stein, a 66-year-old doctor and environmental activist from Massachusetts, said in a statement that she had spray painted the words, "I approve this message," onto a bulldozer, a nod to the phrase American politicians append to their advertisements to comply with transparency laws. The Green Party opposes continued investment in oil extraction because of its links to climate change. Stein said in her statement, "I hope the North Dakota authorities press charges against the real vandalism taking place at the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, the bulldozing of sacred burial sites, and the unleashing of vicious attack dogs," a reference to pipeline security officials having used dogs and pepper spray on protesters over the weekend. Stein was arrested during her 2012 presidential campaign for trespassing in Texas when she tried to take supplies to protesters opposed to the Keystone XL pipeline. She was also arrested outside the 2012 presidential debate between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney at Hofstra University. That university is hosting the first presidential debate in 2016, and Stein vows to show up whether she receives an invitation or not. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Medical experts announced that an Ebola vaccine is at least 50 white people away from being developed. The CIA is now ready to install a female world leader, and a sex toy is discreetly shipped in a plain dildo-shaped box. Rising to the top of the video news summary game through an unstoppable combination of glad-handing and payoffs, this is the Onion Week in Review. Reflecting on his accomplishments and questioning his current abilities, the Lord God Almighty, our Heavenly Father and Blessed Savior, told reporters that he was no longer confident whether he would be able to create the world in only 7 days. He who commanded light to shine from the darkness admitted that the mere thought of producing the entirety of the universe from nothingness, a task he once completed with time to spare, had become surprisingly daunting, and added that creating a small, lifeless moon or asteroid now seemed like a more realistic goal. In this week's science news, psychology comes to a halt as weary researchers say the mind cannot possibly study itself.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off hour number 2, this is Free Talk Live. We're talking about eminent domain and coming up some interesting events happening at some college campuses across the country.
Did you say eminent domain or eminent domain? Because sometimes I do feel it's imminent.
I don't know how I pronounced it.
He also said the college campus nonsense is interesting. I find it disturbing, not interesting at all.
Conan, are you and I spending some time correcting Darryl? This may have never happened.
It's interesting in a disturbing way. I didn't say it was good. I said it was interesting. It's like a train crash is interesting.
Now, isn't this when he would say, "But that's not what you said"?
I said interesting. Train crashes are interesting.
Okay. Well, we'll let it slide.
In a very weird, sick, twisted way, it's still interesting.
We don't nitpick what people say, so go ahead. Explain yourself. You're good. Don't worry.
We're good.
We're good. We're good, Darryl.
And who are the we in studio tonight?
It's you, Darryl, and me, Chris.
And me, Conan.
But before we get into the stories that we have, we will take your phone calls to 855-450-FREE. We've got Joe calling in from Alabama. Joe, thanks for holding on through the news. You were talking about a situation from Birmingham, Alabama, a place that I used to live, born and raised. And I don't remember the specific details of the incident that you were talking about. Something about the city wanted to give some land to a Walmart?
Correct. It's in Alabaster. The thing I Googled was on August 22nd, year 2003, where Alabaster got together to take away some property, 400-some acres, for an 80,000 square foot shopping center right off 65. And at the same time Alabaster was doing it, the city of Birmingham did 2 pieces of property. They took the old Eastwood Mall and the city gave Walmart money to move from Irondale into Birmingham.
Yep,
Then they
moved
took the
about
old
3
Kmart
miles.
building.
Yep, they moved
they took-
Walmart about 3 miles, and I was in Birmingham recently, a couple months ago for my 20-year high school reunion, and lo and behold, that's not a Walmart anymore. I don't remember what's there, but it's not a Walmart.
And then they took the Kmart and took it away because had been condemned or whatever, and took all the property around it and put a shopping center there and used city money to build that one. But that's two cities that got together with Walmart and put 3 Walmarts, and one of them is closed.
Yeah.
So it's a waste of money, and it's just not right that they take 400 acres away from a family that's had it for many years. And I think she went all the way to Supreme Court on that, but they said because the city said it was for the betterment of the society, which I don't know how they come up with that.
Well,
But,
it's
she's off.
tax revenue and it's job creation, and that's what they tell themselves.
Yep, they've determined that if we give the money to this company that's going to wind up running a business, they'll bring us sales tax and they'll have a higher property tax than what you just operating a farm or doing whatever with your land. They will give us more taxes, and that's better for us, and we don't care about you. Joe, thank you for the call. So, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm sure that everybody could call with a story about some form of eminent domain happening in their city.
Yeah. And sadly, that's the case. And in people, this is one of those things that the left and the right should both, and I'm not talking the powers that be, but I'm talking mainstream Democrats, mainstream, like man in the street Republican, independents. We should agree that this is just silliness.
Yeah, except there's one problem. The very first thing that we learn, education or public education, which is paid for by taxpayers, which is theft. So the very first thing we learn in life is that, hey, if it's for the kids or if it's for the greater good, it's all right to steal. And we can't do it, but if we lobby our government to do it for us, it's perfectly acceptable. So the very first thing we learn in life is it's okay to steal money from your neighbor as long as it's for the better good.
Oh, I disagree. The first thing we learn is thou shalt not steal. That's the first thing. We get told that when we're very, very, very young.
So you're talking, all right, you've even gone earlier.
Yeah, I'm going when you're 2 or 3.
Conan, don't hit your cousin.
Pre-kindergarten,
right.
yeah.
You can't take your brother's toys. That belongs to him. Or you can't take daddy's credit card. Whatever it happens to be. That's the first thing you learn. Then kids go to government schools or other schools, and they are taught that, well, there are some cases where it's okay for the government to steal from you.
As
never
long as
put
people
that
vote
way.
on it.
And never mind the fact that you're in history class the next lesson and you're learning about how America was formed.
Right, the American Revolution and all these.
Right, taxes are bad.
And the taking of an entire continent from the people who lived here before us.
Yeah.
Taxes are bad when there's no representation is the lesson that you're supposed to learn from the American Revolution. Not that taxes are bad.
But it's all right that the guy that I didn't vote for is doing it.
Right.
And of course,
because there was an election.
Right.
And King George wasn't elected.
And that makes it fair.
So somehow, as long as there's that election, then it's no longer theft because magic. 855-450 free. Your thoughts on theft, taxes, eminent domain, education, or whatever happens to be on your mind. 855-450 free.
Breitbart article here, and it's covering a story that we are seeing cropping up all over the country. It's been cropping up for years now, and it's getting worse and worse. It's not interesting. It's disturbing because it is perpetuating a problem that we were trying to get away from in this country, and it seems like it's coming back full force. California State University to introduce segregated housing for black students. This is 2016. And they're segregating housing.
Hold on. Let me ask this question because I know somebody will. Who is requesting the segregation?
It is the students themselves. The students who will be segregated. The students are segregating themselves. The black students. California State University has announced that it will provide segregated housing for the university's black students in an attempt to provide them with a safe space. Black students will have the option to move into a residential complex solely for African Americans. The decision to provide segregated accommodations comes just 9 months after the university's Black Student Union presented a list of demands to the university's authorities to challenge what they perceive as endemic racial discrimination. Their demands include a $30 million endowment to support black students financially, and anti-discrimination policy combined with cultural competency training, which we already talked about. We talked about a couple episodes ago, where these types of trainings actually worsen the problem by making people hate each other. Compulsory ethnic studies courses for the first and second year students, as well as segregated housing for black students.
Wait, can any group ask for? I guess they can always ask for, but will they be granted segregated housing? Let's say all the
Asians get together.
Well, maybe it's the Koreans. They feel that they would be in a much better environment to learn if they had an all Korean dorm. They
lobbied their university here, and this was almost a year ago, and their demands are being met. So I guess if you get enough Koreans together,
okay,
and how much tuition are they providing this university? They say, hey, look, this is our money. We're supporting you guys. We need to make some demands, and if they're not met, well, we're going to take our business elsewhere.
So by that rationale, some white person, some Caucasian, could create a white student union.
They could try, but they would be immediately labeled as racist.
Well, Conan, it seems like that's the same thing that they're doing right here, right?
Right now, you actually suggesting this makes you a racist.
Yes, I am being culturally insensitive because I'm suggesting that people are equal.
That's the way it should be. Giving anyone an advantage because of their ethnic background is racist. You're from the get-go, right out the door.
Yep, there you go.
More on this and your thoughts, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Know that sound? That's the sound of trouble for CPAP users. Did you know that just one drop of water in your CPAP system can become a breeding ground for mold and bacteria? Breathe that stuff in and you're battling respiratory infections, allergy attacks, and more. But here's good news. SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It's the healthier way to clean your system because it kills 99.9% of germs in minutes. For a limited time, you can try it risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-951-9693. SoClean makes cleaning your CPAP a breeze. It's completely hands-free. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Don't let one drop of water wreak havoc on your body. Call SoClean.com now for your risk-free trial while supplies last. 1-800-951-9693. That's 1-800-951-9693.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris,
and Conan.
And we're talking about the, I say interesting, Conan says disturbing trend that seems to be popping up across more and more college campuses of new segregated dorm rooms, but segregated at the request of certain student groups. We'll get back into the story, but first, how would you like to save 5, 10, 15, 20% or more on things that you were going to buy anyway from Amazon? What if I told you there was a way you could do that? And, well, some people would say the catch is, I say the benefit is you get to use Bitcoin. Just head over to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. Sign up for an account with Purse, and then you'll go to Amazon, put things in a wish list, import that wish list into your Purse account, fund the account with Bitcoin, and you can save big time. Even if you want to, only save 5%, you can do that using what they call Purse Instant Buy. Anything below 10% they guarantee will be purchased within 24 hours. Saveatpurse.com.
So continuing on with this story from Breitbart, segregated housing would provide a cheaper alternative housing solution for black students. This space would also serve as a safe space for black CSLA students to congregate, connect, and learn from each other, the letter read. This is their letter
Cal
that they
State
sent.
University, Los Angeles.
Right. This is the letter they sent to the school. Although the university failed to meet all their demands, they have agreed to provide the segregated accommodation known as the Halasi Scholars Black Living Learning Community. Halasi sounds like you're probably Halisi, like your warrior girl there, Mr. Darryl.
That would be Khaleesi.
I know. It's similar. Cal State LA spokesman Robert Lopez told the College Fix in an email that the residents would focus on academic excellence and learning experience that are inclusive and non-discriminatory by discriminating against everyone else unless you are a certain skin color.
Now, one thing that I find to be very interesting about this is that, what was it, about 50 years ago, people were fighting to end segregation. And now people are basically saying, No. Bring back segregation. We just want it done differently.
Well, all right. So if you took out the part where a group of students are demanding that tax dollars be spent to segregate them, I'd be completely in favor of this. If you want to voluntarily segregate yourself...
Yeah, you got to shake your head at it, how silly it is. But, hey, if you...
No. It's not always silly, and I could point to some work by Thomas Sowell, who talks about this a lot, and other economists.
Well, I can point to communities, thriving communities in major cities like New York, L.A., San Francisco.
Sure.
Where people have basically segregated themselves. Little Italy. Chinatown.
Sure.
Because of racism. And it might not be the bad kind of racism where you're going out there beating people, but they've done it because they feel comfortable with their own people, and they don't want to have to deal with any other types. They have self-segregated. This is true.
Which is fine, because we'll rebut that in just a second. But my point is people have a right of association. That's a natural right. You can hang out with whoever you want. And to force people to integrate, to force people to come together that may have differences, I think is just as bad as forcing people to segregate if you want.
This article doesn't say, but I am leaning towards a group of people who want this segregation because of the racism they feel it is being directed at them. That is their goal. It's not because they want to hang out with like minds. It is because they believe that they are being discriminated against, and in order to fix the problem, they need to segregate themselves, and that's where I was going with that earlier. But Little Italy, Little China. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, everyone speaks the same language, they think the same way, they like to live in the same type of conditions, so it just makes sense to live with like minds.
Right, but imply that Chinatown,
it happens naturally.
But to imply that Chinatown only exists because the people living in Chinatown are racist is probably one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard.
Racist? Everyone's racist. And wanting to live with people who are the same skin color is racist. It might not be lynching racist, but it is a form of racism.
Right, but to imply that everybody only wants to live with people of their same skin color... You said everybody is racist.
No.
Do you know what I miss the most about living in Keene, New Hampshire? Not seeing black people and Mexicans.
They're here, but not a whole lot of them.
I've seen one black guy in the last month.
All right, I said listen, everyone's racist, but to what degree? If you only want to live with people of the same skin color, not the same like-minded.
I take huge offense to the claim that I'm a racist of some sort because I'm a human being.
I'm not calling you. I'm saying
you said everybody. I'm an everybody
to a degree. Everyone, you can't get away from it. When you walk down the street, you notice black people. That's a soft type of racism right there.
How's it racist to notice differences? What's racist is to act on them or to offend someone or to injure them in some way. But I notice differences in people. You're skinnier than I am. You have longer hair than Darryl. These are differences.
There are different. The definition of racism is definitely changed. It used to be if you feel that someone of another skin color, another ethnic background is either if you're superior than that person, that would be the old style. Now
the definition of racism is the belief that all members of each race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as an inferior or superior to another race.
Okay, but if you just think that someone is different based on their skin color, and people are different according to where they come from, you're a racist. Just look at it.
I completely disagree with that definition.
If I say
I call it observant.
That's what I said. The definition has changed.
So you're using that example as a way that others define racism today.
Right. If I come out and say that a black person is more athletically inclined or they're more musically inclined, there you go. I'm a racist for saying that, even though it's probably true.
Well, it may be true in the example of individuals, which is what we should be focused on. Individuals that are either good or bad or evil or talented or whatever. It doesn't matter.
So does, one person being, genetically predisposed to being a better musician make them inferior or superior?
That's what it used to be, but that's
the definition of racism.
It says especially if.
No, it says especially so as to distinguish, not especially if you distinguish.
But the superior inferior is going away. Now it's just if you are different. That's what it's become. Now I'm triggered, Darryl. I'm triggered because you think I'm different than you for being another skin color.
Triggering.
Conan thinks everybody's racist. Call in to tell him how wrong he is. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live, and I'm not a racist.
There is an affordable alternative to the high cost of healthcare that offers freedom from insurance while providing compliance with the Obamacare individual mandate. Imagine having access to quality, affordable healthcare that allows you the freedom to choose your doctor and hospital. Members can share up to 100% of necessary medical expenses, including some alternative treatments. Find out how you and your family can contain healthcare costs without giving up your freedom. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
When you call a government bureaucracy, more often than not, the person who you talk to will not know the answer to your question, but they'll tell you they think they know who the person is that has the answer, and they will pass the buck to that other person, and if they happen to pick up the phone, they'll usually pass on the buck, or you'll leave a voicemail and never hear back from anybody.
Right. I mean, I wasn't being rude at the TSA at all. The third person I talked to, she was getting pretty hot under the collar. It's like, what are you being so angry for? I'm just asking regular questions any person would.
Well, she's probably upset that she had to pick up her phone and talk to one of the little peons like you.
She's probably annoyed at her underlings who actually gave you her phone number and let you get through to her.
Yeah, that's probably the case. She just wants to play solitaire, and you interrupted her game, or she just wants to surf on the internet, and you just ruined her day.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the new form of segregation on college campuses, specifically at Cal State Los Angeles. The Black Student Union requested, among other things, their own living and learning community that they, of course, wanted the taxpayers to pay for.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to summarize my point of view on this, is when you use force to segregate people, that's a bad thing.
Exactly.
When you use force to integrate people who may or may not want to be integrated, that's a bad thing.
And by the way, when I talk about the racism, the bad racism, it is when you feel that another human being is inferior, superior, based on their skin color, and you use force against them. But just having the thought, I mean, that's why I'm saying there are different levels.
Well, then you're a bigot. Would that be a fair definition?
Right. One of those things is bigotry, and the other is racism. If you just, like, oh, that person's different, and I'm going to treat him as inferior, but I'm not going to ask the government to, or I don't think that the entire group of people, so yeah, there's a mild difference between bigotry and racism, but racism is the belief that one group is superior or inferior, and bigotry is just that one group is inherently different, but not necessarily either superior or inferior.
Okay, and that's where I was. All right, so bigotry, intolerance.
But again, your claim is that everybody is a bigot.
Yeah.
Everyone that's
has,
one of the most ignorant statements I've ever heard.
Everyone has stereotypes. They think that you look at me and you think that I'm different for the shoes that I wear, or the fact that I don't cut my hair. Or there's something about me that you see and you.
Oh, dude, there's like 12,000 reasons
you
we
make
think
assumptions.
You're different. But that's okay.
And it's just based on who we are, where we grew up, who we grew up with, who our parents were. It's who we are.
Yeah, and this to me.
But do you use force against me because I have long hair?
No,
okay,
I wouldn't use force against you if you had short hair. I wouldn't use force against you if you've had the same haircut since you were 12 years old.
Then you're all right. You're all right with me to have whatever kind of opinions you want.
Then why do you think I'm a bigot?
Because everyone is.
Because I like hanging out with people that have different experiences.
Let me read the definition. Intolerance, bigotry. Intolerance towards those who hold different opinions from oneself. All right, so you're not a bigot when it comes to long hair.
I'm intolerant towards people that call me a bigot. Let's go to the phones. 855-450-FREE.
You're trigger happy is what you are.
We've got Ricky calling in from the Commonwealth. Ricky, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thought.
Gentlemen, good evening. I'm still alive.
Why would you not be?
Oh, because it's funny. I heard what you guys were saying, and I had two topics tonight, but now I've reduced that because I heard this whole racism thing. That's part of it. I mean, something I remember. I'm 42 years old, and I remember when I was real little, Edfield with Jefferson and all this crazy stuff. The NAACP, now I'm going to make a point here to start off. Now, the CP, last I looked, that stood for colored people. Now, I remember the NAACP had a problem when I was a kid. See, for whatever reason, not what they wanted, see, the CP, like I said, stands for colored people. Now, I think of three colors right off. I think of black, yellow, and white. You know what I think of? I think of Asia. I think of Africa. And I think about right here in the United States. You know what I think of? I think of slavery. Now, I'm not talking about this and that. I mean real slavery. Now, this is what the NAACP had a problem with, and I was very young. Now, all of a sudden, people got it amongst themselves, and these were blacks. Now, I'm going to point this out. Now, they got the idea in their head all of a sudden. I don't know how it happened, but the NAACP came out and they tried to say, hey, wait a minute, now it doesn't work like that now. We're for all people. Now, the more they talked about it, the worse it got. Now, what they then did was they realized pretty quickly this is making it worse. Now, the interesting thing is, this past year, I'll never forget seeing President Obama on the TV dealing with this whole Black Lives Matter issue. It's the same exact thing that the NAACP dealt with, and he's trying to explain. I'll never forget his words, and it made me very sad.
So is your
He
advice,
said, you know what?
the less we talk about race and racism, that the better off we'll be?
No. My answer is that I remember what happened when I was a kid with the NAACP. What happened is the whites were more than happy that were racist whites were more than happy to join in with the racist blacks, and the NAACP got caught in the middle. They had to give up. But, you live to fight another day. That was just, and everybody's not a bigot. Somebody like me, I made my comment, and that's what it comes down to, and in defense of Conan and his comments and so on and so forth. I don't like Jersey. I really don't. I've got a real problem right now with New York. Why do I got a problem? I'm not bigoted against New Yorkers, but I will tell you this. They came here in the past. Years ago, they came. They did their destruction. They destroyed our economy. They're working in New York and taking up residence here. Now, if you guys want them, you want everybody, you can have the New Yorkers. I don't want them here.
No, you can keep them. It's okay.
No, well, I had an incident. Here's this pertinent news. I was at the Howard Johnson's for 2 days over the weekend, and I was at the bar. They even had my Rolling Rocks in the cooler. Oh, by the way, Darryl, do they have Rolling Rock up there in New Hampshire?
I don't know. I don't drink that. It tastes like cow urine, and I know that because I used to work on a dairy farm. Ricky, thanks for the call.
And you're comparing Rolling Rock.
Hold on.
Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
I used to live in Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
Okay, well,
I worked at a dairy farm in Acme, which is a tiny little, not even a town, but just a few miles outside of Latrobe. The dairy farm got the used brewer's grain from Latrobe Brewery.
Sure.
Fed it to the cows. And because it was what they call a raised parlor, meaning that you were milking the cows below and behind them,
right,
cows would often pee on your face. And I would occasionally have some urine run into my mouth, and it tasted exactly like Rolling Rock beer. So when I say that Rolling Rock tastes like cow pee, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
If you had refrigerated and got a good chill on it.
I was going to say, yeah. And if you had your choice right now, you've had both. If I were to offer you either a Rolling Rock or a steaming bottle of cow pee, which would you choose?
I've got a blueberry beer in the fridge from a Maine brewer. I'll take that.
Well, hat tip Latrobe.
Only because Conan didn't bring me any of his apple wine this week.
Been to a couple Rolling Rock Town Fairs, which was a great little concert series they did up there.
Yeah,
always had fun in Latrobe.
And Rolling Rock is no longer brewed in Latrobe.
Yeah.
Labatt Blue bought them several years ago, moved the brewery to, I believe, Connecticut.
I thought they got bought by Budweiser first. I think they've been through a change of ownership a couple times, I think.
Back to bigotry. Let's work on this word. Let's define it. Let's get to the bottom of this. Intolerance towards those who hold different opinions from oneself.
Okay.
So you're telling me that there is nothing out there, statists, who you absolutely do not agree with their views.
I judge people based on their views. I don't judge people based on their skin color.
Okay, but we're talking about bigotry now. So they have a different view, statists, people who love government, and they think we need more of it in order to protect ourselves from ourselves. You don't agree with those people. You don't agree with their opinions, so you, by the definition...
By that definition, sure.
Are a bigot.
But I'm not a racist, and you first implied that I'm a racist.
But no, you changed it to bigotry, so we got that one out of the way. So we're all bigots, all three of us.
Ah, boy.
I think it's a stretch. It's very much a stretch. You're just trying to demonize everybody because it fits your agenda. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What's happening at Georgetown?
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything, your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, Call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-945-1063. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
In a crisis, your number one need is food, but not just any food. Experts say everyone needs to have non-perishable, good for 25 years survival food on hand in case of an emergency. Well, right now, in what is truly an unprecedented move, 72-hour survival food kits are being given away to listeners while supplies last. Survival food is more important today than ever before, explains Frank Bates, a spokesman for the company. Natural disasters, terrorist attacks, and other threats can make obtaining sufficient food impossible in an emergency. This 72-hour survival kit has 16 servings of delicious food rated for 25 years of storage. It sells to the general public for $27 plus shipping, and it's been rated 4.5 out of 5 stars by customers who paid full price. But listeners who act quickly can get it free, just cover $9.95 shipping. Go to freefood2.com right now. Supplies are limited, and the program may end at any time. Go to freefood2.com now. That's freefood2.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,344 per ounce. Silver is 3 cents lower at $19.81 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $626 US. Check out our selection of Royal Canadian Mint products, beautiful bars and coins with enhanced security features. For more information, call Robertson Roberts Brokerage today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we're trying to define some words here. Sensitive words, bigotry and racism. Conan is alleging that everybody on the planet is a racist and a bigot.
Yes. They are very broad terms. They are very broad. They have many definitions.
Well, maybe today's definitions have very broad definitions, which could make your statement true. I mean, basically, if the definition of racist or bigot is now that we notice differences in other people, then unless you're blind and deaf, then you are by definition
have no hands
and have sense of touch.
Yeah. You also cannot have sense of touch or sense of smell.
Right. But that definition is so broad, it's no longer useful.
The most important fact that I look at in these two words, basically you see differences in other people and are intolerant of them, but it really doesn't bother me at all what your opinions are of me unless you use force against me based on those opinions. And that's where I draw the line.
Okay, and
that's where
Right. How about if I just choose not to associate with you?
That's all right.
Some people would say that that's a form of aggression.
Exactly.
So how do you define, and we'll think about this because we do have a call. We've got Dodger calling in. Dodger, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Gentlemen, now I figured that I'd shed a little light based on my understanding, and this may not be correct. It's been a few years since this was explained to me. But it's my understanding that racism, in order for a person to be racist, a person cannot be racist unless they're what is considered a privileged class or a privileged race, because racism essentially is a group of somebody that, based on their race, is trying to essentially step on the heads of I guess a lesser race. Now, bigotry, that's where like a principled libertarian, I don't think can be a true racist, whereas a principled libertarian, by all means, could be a bigot, because a bigot is just looking down at somebody based on differences. That's my understanding. I don't know. What I wanted to really bring up, though, is bringing up the African Americans in California at that university.
Cal State Los Angeles, where the Black Student Union requested a dormitory for themselves at taxpayer expense, by the way,
and $30 million.
But I don't think they got that. But they did get the housing.
Right.
Right. It's my problem with that is it being part of what would be referred to as the privileged class, as a white male, that especially a young white male, is not that these minority groups are asking for equal rights. It seems as if they're asking for special rights. The thing is, rights cannot be granted by any government. Rights are given to you, for lack of a better term, by God the day that you're born. Oh. Everybody has these rights.
I agree with your definition of natural rights. There are, I think, not unnatural rights, but there are all sorts of rights that society seems to keep coming up with, like the right to health care.
Right. I mean, which is not a right at all. For me.
Hold on. I would say, hold on, Dodger. I'm going to disagree on a point of minutia, because this is what libertarians do. I would say that healthcare is a right in the same way that eating a meal is a right. No one has a legitimate right to prevent you from doing either. No one has a legitimate right to prevent you from going to a doctor, just as no one has a legitimate right to prevent you from eating lunch.
Let me restate that. A right of free health care paid for by government, then you would...
That your neighbors, from your neighbors.
But
and that was my implication, but I understand what you're saying.
Right, but that's the weird thing with the the English language, and it's why I say English is probably the worst language in the world, is because there are some things where people say you have the right to bear arms, but no one interprets that to mean that the government must provide you with the firearm of your choice. But people interpret the right to education to mean the government must provide me with the education that I seek.
And I 100% agree with you because I have the right to life, liberty, and property. The way I view it is I have exactly three rights in this world: life, liberty, and property. And those are God-given. Nobody can take those away. My problem is groups, and A lot of black groups are doing this, and I hate to say it, a lot of gay groups are doing this, where it's not like they're asking for equal rights. I am totally willing to, in my own life, give equal rights to anybody because rights are God-given. You get them when you're born.
Or not
However,
give, but not deny anyone else.
Right. It's the special rights that I have a problem with, where it's, for example, why can't I come up with
I'll say that there are some groups that are asking for equal results, not equal rights. Dodger, thank you for the call. Let's go to Skype. We have Nawel calling in. Nawel, thank you for calling in, and go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi. On the same topic of racism and special rights, I kind of agree that even in the minority groups I belong, I don't expect to have special rights or other groups, and that is a very kind of left-right mentality. I think that leftist people always want a special right for their race, their age, their sexual orientation, whatever, make them different. But I was thinking a lot of about this, the use of the N-word, because I was looking you on the video cam. I'm ideologically almost identical to you. My skin is almost the same tone. I'm from Chile. And I can use the N-word to refer to myself, to an old girlfriend, because I'm officially Latin, even though I may look really close to you. And in the US, you cannot use like the N-word at all.
Well, we can use it, but we're not going to be able to have a decent conversation with you afterwards. We're going to be immediately labeled racist.
Yeah, chastised.
Yes. Yep.
But how you came to that situation? Because we here in Chile get to know the N-word through hip hop, rap, and cultural means.
Sure.
So how you cannot use it? How you came to that situation?
I think through the same way you did, just in the opposite direction. Through changes in culture, through changes in sensitivity towards people. If somebody tells me they're offended by something and I say, I certainly am not going to say that again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Then there's other people that they'll double down on it and they'll use it even more because they then know that it gets under people's skin.
Right. It is definitely a word of power. And you know what? There are other words in our culture that you really can't say, and in certain situations, certain environments. So it's not just the N-word. There are other words.
I look at it
right, like the technical term for a female dog is looked down upon in certain situations.
Most people that word is very soft. I'm thinking of one a little higher up.
A word that starts with C. Yeah, that's another one that in certain situations. Actually, I don't know of a situation where that word would not wind up raising a few eyebrows.
But I think your point's good. Go ahead, caller. I'm sorry.
On the self-identification issue, because I know you're like officially white on the U.S., but Latin people on the U.S. can call themselves the N-word?
I don't know. I've never heard any of my Hispanic friends use the N-word to refer to themselves. But again, it's one of those things of, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should, and it's a word that I think is really kind of meaningless and should be just, done away with in society.
Phase it out.
At large. No,
disagree.
Well, thank you for the call. 855 450 free. Hour 3 coming up next. This is Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 8th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.85 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,346 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $633. Antiwar.com reports the new report from the Center for International Policy is revealing that over the course of his term in office, President Barack Obama has offered Saudi Arabia over $115 billion in arms and other military equipment in 42 separate deals, by far the most of any U.S. administration. The data from the report came from the Defense Security Cooperation Agency, a Pentagon body that provides figures on international military sales. Most of the deals were ultimately approved, and large amounts of the weapons are still to be delivered. This comes amid growing international disquiet about Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen, which the U.S. is participating in. Huge civilian casualties, chiefly the result of Saudi airstrikes, are raising pressure on the Obama administration to do something to limit the violence. Though the U.S. has given some lip service to being opposed to the huge civilian toll, officials have rejected all calls to limit arms sales to Saudi Arabia over the war, insisting that the sales give them leverage over the Saudi kingdom. That huge amount of arms are still to be delivered suggests that the Saudis are looking to add to their already substantial war-launching capability, and that the U.S. is only too willing to comply. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports one of the oldest and most popular national parks in the United States is seeing its largest expansion in nearly 70 years, with the addition of several hundred acres of wetland and wildlife area, according to officials on Wednesday. The National Park Service said in a statement that Yosemite National Park was gifted the 400-acre Ackerson Meadow, a critical wetlands and meadow habitat on the park's western boundary. Officials said the historic expansion is the result of a cooperative effort between the Trust for Public Land, Yosemite Conservancy, and the National Park Service. The Trust for Public Land bought Ackerson Meadow from a private owner for $2.3 million earlier this year. Established in 1890, Yosemite is the third oldest U.S. national park. It covers about 1,200 square miles of land and regularly ranks among the top 5 most visited national parks on an annual basis. Yosemite Conservancy President Frank Dean said the original Yosemite boundary plan of 1890 included Ackerson Meadow, so it's exciting to finally have this important place protected. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports a sheriff's department in North Dakota has issued an arrest warrant for Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein for damaging equipment during a protest on Tuesday over construction of an oil pipeline. Stein was part of a group protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline and spray-painted construction equipment, according to Morton County Sheriff's Department. Stein does not dispute the account. Protesters who say the project will damage burial sites considered sacred to a nearby Native American tribe and pollute the drinking water also attached themselves to bulldozers and broke a fence. Stein, a 66-year-old doctor and environmental activist from Massachusetts, said in a statement that she had spray-painted the words, "I approve this message," onto a bulldozer, a nod to the phrase American politicians append to their advertisements to comply with transparency laws. The Green Party opposes continued investment in oil extraction because of its links to climate change. Stein said in her statement, "I hope the North Dakota authorities press charges against the real vandalism taking place at the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, the bulldozing of sacred burial sites, and the unleashing of vicious attack dogs," a reference to pipeline security officials having used dogs and pepper spray on protesters over the weekend. Stein was arrested during her 2012 presidential campaign for trespassing in Texas when she tried to take supplies to protesters opposed to the Keystone XL pipeline. She was also arrested outside the 2012 presidential debate between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney at Hofstra University. That university is hosting the first presidential debate in 2016, and Stein vows to show up whether she receives an invitation or not. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Reflecting on the persistent troubles it caused his sibling during childhood, local doctor Daniel Barrett told reporters this week about his average-looking brother, Kevin, who first inspired him to be a cosmetic surgeon.
As a kid, I remembered thinking that there was nothing I could do for Kevin. Watching someone you really love and care about suffer from a weak jawline or unsymmetrical features, it had a major impact on me.
And in this week's local news, a community theater gives the part of Blanche Dubois to Kathy Hamilton. In other news, a moviegoer manages to sneak candy past a teenage usher earning $7 an hour. A new app matches you with others in the vicinity who wasted $2.99 on the same app. And a Roman centurion crawling out of a New York City manhole cover is in for one wacky adventure. Having graciously spread my knowledge to the uneducated masses, I now return to the stately, elegant ranks of News Announcer Society. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Conan.
And we're talking about some interesting and, yes, I will say disturbing trends happening around college campuses. Cal State Los Angeles, the Black Student Association, requested that taxpayers pay for a segregated dorm room for them. And, Chris, you've got a story about something happening at Georgetown. What is it?
Well, Georgetown University plans to set things right. That's what they want to do. They are planning steps to atone for slave past. Washington, nearly 2 centuries after Georgetown University profited from the sale of 272 slaves, it will embark on a series of steps to atone for the past, including awarding preferential status in the admissions process to descendants of the enslaved, university officials said Thursday. Georgetown's president, John J. DeGioia, who announced the measures in a speech on Thursday afternoon, this was last week, said he would offer a formal apology, create an institute for the study of slavery, and erect a public memorial to the slaves whose labor benefited the institution, including those who were sold in 1838 to help the university keep afloat. In addition, 2 campus buildings will be renamed, one for an enslaved African-American man and the other for an African-American educator who belonged to a Catholic religious order. So far, Dr. DeGioia's plan does not include a provision for offering scholarships to descendants, a possibility that was raised by a university committee whose recommendations were released on Thursday morning. The committee, however, stopped short of calling on the university to provide such financial assistance as well as admissions preference.
But admissions preference has been going on forever.
Well, yeah, there's, through equal rights laws and civil rights laws, there obviously is various ways that the government has encouraged people to prefer one group of people over another in hiring practices and admissions to schools and so on.
There was a wrong done to these people, but how long do you hold on to that concept? How many years? We always make the joke about not the joke, but you were thieved, you were stolen from 25 years ago. When do you cut off?
What's the statute of limitations
in a libertarian society?
Yeah, and
this is kind of the same deal. I mean, there was wrong done. These people suffered, and it's generational. Their descendants suffered, but how many generations suffered? I mean, maybe
right. And God. Okay, go ahead and call me racist. To me, the act of taking someone as a slave is an action of force against their will. It affects them directly. To the children that had to be born and grew up in enslavement, I think there was an aggression there. But once you get past that, if the children were then freed and then their children grew up free, then is there still a reparation to be made, or have they just grown up free?
Well, then you can't use that argument anymore. You have to take it to another level. You have to talk about systemic racism, where it wasn't
separate issue.
You had your Jim Crows, and how long ago was that? 60 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So you had those generations growing up in an environment where they could not be fully. They couldn't be fully free because there were circumstances that were keeping them down.
Yeah, and it gets, to me, it gets a little squirrely when you start talking about laws that have been passed in our constitutional republic with representative government. Your representatives voted for Jim Crow laws. They supported those, and maybe yours voted against them. That's okay. But the system of government absolutely perpetuated that and continues to this day. When different people are treated differently because of the color of their skin or because of their religious beliefs or anything like that under force of law, that to me is it's indicative of a problem with your system of government.
We'll get back into this, but first, your calls to 855-450-FREE. We've got Ralph calling in from New Jersey. Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
You see, you have proven yourself to be the white guilty that you are hitting the panic button at the trial balloon I put out about a lotion. Okay?
What about a bottle of lotion?
A low. Yeah, but really, you have proven yourself. Now, today we can talk about the issue of race, can we?
That's what we've been talking about pretty much all night long, Ralph. So give us your thoughts.
See? I mean, I'm telling you, once in a while, the consciousness comes up, and you will have to talk about this, given the fact that, the blacks are constantly agitating in this country. Okay?
All blacks are constantly agitating?
They are just about, I would say not all, but just a good portion of blacks are.
But by that statement, you're acknowledging that there are some blacks that aren't, correct?
The conservative ones, the ones who can think, right? such as Kevin Jackson, Larry Elders, and blacks like that, they are, staying on the sideline, and they are very critical of, blacks like Black Lives Matter.
Well, you have other blacks like Dr. Thomas Sowell who openly come out against that.
But nevertheless, let me set the record straight, okay? I did not came up with the idea a day without black. You know who came up with that idea, sir? It was a black conservative who came up with that idea. And that got my attention and my notice because of a sign that he carried around when he went on a protest before Planned Parenthood, okay? This was a very small sign, okay? You have to go up, up close to get the full meaning of that sign, A Day Without Black. And then when we have a talk, when I have a talk with that man, he told me about the black abortion that's going on in this country, number one, the black killing blacks in this country, and that's happening in real time, number two. Look at Chicago. And let's not, just concentrate on Chicago. Elsewhere in this country, that's happening. Newark, New York City, Baltimore.
So, Ralph, are you suggesting that because some black people are killing other black people, that somehow it's okay for the police to kill black people?
I'm not suggesting that at all. But, the thing about this is how do you explain the fact that this is not more of a priority on the priority list or a priority item for Black Lives Matter? What exactly is the value of black life? Okay, what exactly is the value of black life?
Well, I would say
as every other life.
I would say that all humans have value. Ralph, thank you for the call.
Oh no, actually, Darryl, I was going to ask Ralph a question, and you hung up on him.
Yeah, I had one too.
I forget where he said he was from. He's from the Philippines?
He is originally from the Philippines, currently lives in New Jersey.
Right. I wanted to ask him about President Rodrigo Duterte calling out our beloved president. And because Ralph loves our beloved president so much, I was curious what he thought about that.
He did refer to our president as a, quote, son of a whore, unquote.
Correct.
Yeah,
I believe that
and
was
actually, that's one of the ways that the Tagalog words could be translated.
I've seen it translated two different ways.
Right. So it's been translated both son of a whore and son of a bitch.
But he's taken all that back. I guess he realized that he put his foot in his mouth, and he needs to keep up good relations with the country that is America, or U.S., because, well, we're a lot bigger than them.
I'd hope to get more out of Ralph, but dang it.
Ralph,
Darryl,
call in and tell us what you think about the Philippine president, why you moved, why you don't love to live there.
Well,
your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771. free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight is Darryl,
Chris, and Conan.
And if you don't make it onto the show or you're not able to call in live, we do have the audio on demand listen line at 641-793-9660. You can catch all of the live programs from the Liberty Radio Network when you want to hear them. It's not dependent on, oh, we're live from 7 to 10. I can only listen then. Nope. You want to listen to us at 2 o'clock in the morning? You can do that. 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live. And then you hear us say something that you just have to respond to, but we're not live. Press 0. You can leave us a message. If it's good and it's fairly short, chances are we'll listen to it and possibly play it on the air. 641-793-9660. We go to Skype. Username is LRN.FM. I believe we have Hung Like Jesus on Skype. You're on. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, Darryl and the rest. I want to ask Ralph something. And
well, you can ask, but he's not on, so he is not able to respond to you.
I realize that. I want to ask him if you know what the problem with Filipinos are, especially Filipinos that live in New Jersey. You know what the problem with them are?
Go ahead.
Does he know? Because I don't either. That's why I don't speak about it.
Maybe the problem is just that he lives in New Jersey.
Well, anyway, the thing about racism that white people will never understand is that very same point. They don't know because they don't go through it. And to explain it would be just useless because you won't understand it. It seems like it's just a fairy tale coming from anybody who doesn't go through it. To explain why those kids wanted to have a dorm separate, I can understand it. I don't know why they wanted it by themselves.
I think it's fine. I agree with you completely.
Hung, I've never been raped. Do you think that I can identify with a woman who's been raped? I can actually, have an opinion on that? I mean, I'm not a woman. I've never been raped. So can I have an opinion on that?
Sure, you can have an opinion on it, but it won't be valid.
What if we happen to agree that rape is bad?
Well, how can you agree on something that you have? Well, the thing is,
because to me,
there was force used against the woman. It's bad. I can have an opinion, and I say that should never happen to another human being.
Yep, and I'll definitely give you a chance to respond. But I definitely favor people being able to voluntarily segregate themselves if they wish. But I have an issue when people are demanding taxpayer money is doing that, just like I have a problem with taxpayer money being forced to integrate people who don't want to be integrated. And I will take challenge with you at least on racism, because I'm a white guy. I'm from Oregon. I grew up in a town that had no black people in it whatsoever. But then I went into the military and I spent 8 weeks in basic training where I definitely was a minority. So does that give me any insight?
I don't, like I said, it may give you some sort of insight, but the equivalents that you just made here are just false equivalents. You can't equate rape with racism. I don't think that equivalent is just not. They just don't go together. It's a false equivalent. And like I said, to try to explain any of this to people who are outside of it, I mean, you'll just get to where we are right now, no understanding. So I think the argument needs to be between people who at least have some sort of same life experiences. Outside of that, I mean, you can have your opinions and you can run with them, but in the long run, it don't make no difference. It makes no difference what a white person thinks about me and how I feel about racism or how I feel about their racism. It makes not one bit of difference to me.
So you don't
do not know.
You don't care if I agree or disagree with you.
It doesn't. I mean, you can't.
It's not going to make any difference.
It won't matter to me at all because you don't know.
What if I were a congressman or a senator?
I mean, what difference would that make? A title means nothing unless you walk in black shoes.
But maybe if I disagreed with you, I would promote laws that would call for more racism.
Well, of course, I mean, those things happen anyway. We just had voter suppression in North Carolina that was just as bad as anything that happened during the civil rights movement. They just found this.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can't understand the problem because we've never experienced it, and by the way, I have experienced racism,
and we can't talk about it.
But I mean, so if we can't talk about it, we can have an opinion about it. But we can't talk about it because we don't really understand it. How do we fix this problem?
Well, there's a really good question. I have no clue how to fix it. Maybe segregation would fix it. My father told me before he died, the two worst things that happened to black people was the black church and segregation. If those two things would have never came into play as they are now, then we'd have probably been off in a better place. Segregation just absolutely tore us apart. It tore our communities apart, and it tore our families apart. Because now we didn't want to do business with each other. We want to do business with the white people because we figured that was best. That was inclusion. You can understand however you want, but that was what I was told, and that's what I believe.
Yeah, I guess the question was, is it segregation or integration?
Well, you slice it however you want.
Hung, thanks for the call, and I really wish that we could figure out how to fix the problems, because there are problems that exist. And, how do you fix a problem when nobody really knows the solution?
Or they're not allowed to talk about it because they don't have the experience.
Right. Let's go to the phones, 855-450-FREE. We've got Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yes, I did mention the new computerized signal light in Atlanta, Georgia, but, you guys have the access to the computer right there. I was wondering if you could help me elaborate exactly what makes it so much better. I mean, because I'm speculating that it's a satellite. The computer communicates with a satellite that analyzes all the traffic flow, and it changes the light accordingly. That's what I am told. But what makes it so much better? I mean, is there any way that you could look it up? I mean,
well, we're not generally an encyclopedia or your own personal Siri, but I don't know if either Chris or Conan, either one, did a Google search for you there. But I don't like the idea of traffic lights. I think removing traffic lights would actually wind up making things better. There have been experiments done throughout Europe where they removed all street signs and all traffic lights, and what they found was accidents and fatalities decreased drastically.
Safer drivers, safer pedestrians, less accidents, and a more smoother, efficient drive and commute. It just makes too much sense.
I can only speak to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, because I used to live near there. But Sarah, when they did introduce traffic lights around town, there was an immediate spike in rear-end accidents. Because now, instead of people making their way through it, people were slamming on their brakes and they were getting hit from behind. You said we have the computer right in front of. I always wondered, do you watch the show on YouTube or do you watch it online?
What show? No, I had just heard
this show right here,
The
Free
show
Talk
you're
Live. Do you ever call? Do you ever listen, or do you just call?
Well, I just listen when I'm waiting.
Thank you for the call, Sarah. This is Free Talk
So you've got to
Live.
take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Do you guys know what tomorrow is?
Tomorrow's Friday.
Friday, TGIF.
It's Friday, but it's also the 5-year anniversary of Live Free or Dance, which is one of the things that got former Free Talk Live co-host Derek J. Freeman arrested when he went on his victimless crime spree. He was arrested about 5 times in less than a year. All of those arrests documented, and, well, a documentary was made about it, Derek J's victimless crime spree. You can either buy an actual DVD that has a lot of bonus footage, or you can watch the feature-length film online absolutely free at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. There's more from the Georgetown University story that we started the hour with. But back to the phones. We've got Dave calling in from our very own New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, gentlemen. Well, as you may know, there is a Liberty candidate running for the Republican nomination for governor, running pretty seriously, with some flaws from a libertarian perspective, but he's what we have to work with, and he's been putting up a good fight. However, up till now, he has been doing fairly badly in the polls last I checked. I haven't checked in the last week or two.
The last poll I saw showed that, and you're talking about Frank Edelblue, who's a freshman state rep. I believe he's got about a 5% approval rating, and his polling numbers are somewhere around that same point.
Well, yeah, saying 5% approval rating is a little. It's not quite that bad for him. I'm sure it's just people who haven't heard of him. But
right, there's a lot of people that haven't heard of any of the candidates, even the son of a former governor and brother of a former senator, last name Sununu. There's still a bunch of people that are like, yeah, I don't know who he is.
I hear a lot of people like, he's a rich boy, he's a rich son. We're not going to vote for him simply because he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. I'm probably falling in that camp.
Edelblue today, I guess it was yesterday, the union leader conducted a poll as to who do you think won the GOP gubernatorial debate? And Edelblue is at 45%, and the second place is 17%. And I think partly that's the result of liberty activists putting out a call to bump him up. But
Sure.
That also shows that liberty activists have maybe better organization on that, at least that particular day.
And liberty activists also tend to be a little bit better on the technical things and able to figure out, if I clear the cookies, then I can vote multiple times.
Yeah, I hope that's not what happened. I only voted once, but he is, I'm seeing a pretty strong presence from him on social media. He is giving it a real run. But yeah, if we see him do worse than Andrew Hemingway or something like that, who was the last one, I know that's gonna I guess it's gonna trigger some soul searching as to how we go about getting a liberty candidate some real traction in the in the gubernatorial race. If he can't do it, what do we need? I don't know.
Well, luckily, there will be a Libertarian candidate on the ballot this year for governor. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, a lot of the people that we as Libertarians thought would be allies in helping us get ballot access refused to sign our petitions. But we did wind up getting the petition signed this year. So there will be a Libertarian option on the ballot. And, Dave, I'm sure you know that here in New Hampshire, governor and U.S. Senate are the two races that affect ballot access. So, hopefully for the Libertarian sake and the sake of saving a lot of money, we're able to get 4% in either one of those two races.
So will this be John Babiar's running again this year?
No, John Babiar's is actually running for District 2 Congress as an independent. It's actually freshman Representative Max Abramson that's the gubernatorial candidate.
Right. Well, now also there's a Democrat running who is getting positive response, at least from the marijuana community. I don't know how well or badly he'll do, and I haven't checked him out in his overall Liberty ranking.
He's not doing that great in the polls. I've followed the polls, and right now, nobody's doing that great. There's still this huge chunk of people that are responding undecided, and we're just 5 days away from the primary, and there's still a lot of people that are undecided. But how many of those undecided people are actually going to show up to vote in the primary is another question, because primaries generally have very low turnout. Dave, thanks for the call. In studio tonight, it's Darryl, Chris, and Conan, and let's get back into the story from Georgetown.
Sure. And just to give a brief recap, the title of the story is Georgetown University Plans Steps to Atone for Slave Past. Georgetown University actually profited from the sale of 272 slaves back in 1838.
And Georgetown is a private institution.
Correct. And this was back in 1838. It helped keep the university afloat. They were going to rename a couple campus buildings after an African-American slave and for an African-American educator. And where we left off, we were talking about the decision not to include offering scholarships to descendants, and I'll continue with that line. Dr. De Goya's decision to offer an advantage in admissions to descendants similar to that offered to the children and grandchildren of alumni is unprecedented, historians say. The preference will be offered to descendants of all slaves whose labor benefited Georgetown, not just the men, women, and children sold in 1838. More than a dozen universities, including Brown, Harvard, and the University of Virginia, publicly recognized their ties to slavery and the slave trade. But Craig Stephen Wilder and Alfred J. Brophy, two historians who have studied universities and slavery, say they knew of none that had offered preferential status in admissions to the descendants of slaves.
All right, so I've got a quick question, and Chris, I know that you don't have the answer to this.
You don't know that. Maybe I do.
Well, they say that they will give preference to descendants of, quote, all slaves whose labor benefited Georgetown, not just those that were sold in 1838. So how are they going to determine whether or not someone was descended from someone who how do they determine what benefited Georgetown and which slaves necessarily benefited Georgetown?
I would guess.
How are they going to determine if you're a second-generation African migrant?
Or third or fourth. I guess they would look to the applicant for some proof. Show me your Ancestry.com research that shows this.
Right, but, and I know that's generally what things like the Daughters of the American Revolution, although they'll want more than just, oh, yeah, you pulled it up on Ancestry.com.
It's good enough for me.
But they have a little bit better records of that, of here's the roles of everybody that was enlisted in the military during the 1770s. So that qualifies if you're descended from those.
Right.
But my question is, how are they going to determine all of the slaves whose labor benefited Georgetown? So
it's pretty broad, and I expect that it will probably be applied very loosely. I think that's a logical conclusion to come to. The second thing is, and this is the horror of slavery, is that these people that were bought and sold or whose labor may have contributed positively to Georgetown were basically cattle. They held no higher standard than a barnyard animal. Did they have birth certificates? No. Did the owners or the university even know their names or their last names? Or
they probably gave them names,
right? But I mean, it's a despicable part of human history because slavery occurred all over the world.
Absolutely, and it's an institution that, much like democracy, never should have existed in the first place. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome in the closing moments. 855-450-FREE.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-945-9289. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-945-9289. That's 1-800-945-9289.
For over 5 years, you've been hearing about the Berkey guy, so you may know a few things about him. For example, you are well aware of the superior quality and effectiveness of Berkey water filters and accessories. But did you know the Berkeys have had independent lab tests done to prove just how effective they are? It's true, and he can email you the test results. Just visit goberkey.com. You may also know that the Berkey guy has helped tens of thousands of people get better prepared. Now here's something you may not know. GoBerkey.com has amazing specials and deals all the time on a wide variety of survival and preparedness products. Most ready to ship same day. Visit the Berkey Guy at GoBerkey.com and be sure to click the red Products on Sale Now button. You can always call toll-free 877-886-3653. Again, that's 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com, home of the Berkey Guy.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now to 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And if you aren't able to get in tonight, you can always call back tomorrow because we are live all 7 nights of the week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And Conan, you have a new show that you're doing on Sundays, but it happens to be right during the middle of a Free Talk Live episode. But people can catch that on YouTube, right?
That's right. If you want to watch it live, I'm doing it on the Facebook, just like Free Talk is doing. If you want to watch Free Talk because you're more interested in what's going on globally, which is what we usually talk about here, you can watch the archives. I'm putting all the videos at the site. CitizenKane.org. That's Kane, C-A-I-N. It's a good show. 2 episodes in. If you want to know what we're doing here in Keene, if you want to know some Keene politics, as you might be a part of the Free State Project and you're looking for a place to move, that's all we really talk about. New Hampshire stuff, Keene stuff, local.
CitizenKane.org. Let's go back to the phones. We've got David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, yeah, I got comments on the various things you talked about this evening. Going way back to the N-word, the B-word, the C-word, all that stuff, I don't see why we can't get past. Personally, when someone calls me any sort of derogatory term, it has like zero effect on me emotionally. I don't see why we all can't just do that, and then it doesn't matter what words we use anymore.
Because not everybody's brain is wired the same way, David. There has actually been a lot of scientific studies that have shown that for some people, emotional damage causes responses in the brain similar to physical damage.
Yeah, it's called triggering.
Right, yeah, I can relate
I'm not
to that.
talking about somebody just saying, oh, I'm triggered. But
those are the people that you're talking about. They feel pain in their brain, Darryl. They get triggered.
I get David's point. I think it's more of an evolutionary thing. I think it's one of these things, I hate to say, that the human race may have to outgrow.
Well, yeah, one thing, too, I remember when I was younger, it did bother me, but as I aged, it got so that it didn't really bother me anymore, and I do relate to that being triggered because I'm triggered by other things, just not by words. Words really can't be used to get too much under my skin. And on that same subject of race, I'd like to differ a little bit with Hung. I think that I can empathize enough to understand what it might be like to be raped, because thinking about it makes I feel rage, and I'd have to stop myself from killing the person. So apparently I do feel a great amount of empathy as to what that might be like. And the same thing goes for race. In fact, I often use to describe to people how I feel about having the government illegally sell my children 10 years ago, and I've never seen them again. I equate that to my children being sold up or down the river by the plantation master. I use that exact analogy, and you can probably hear it in my voice as I start to get angry when I discuss what my government did to my children. So I think that I can empathize with race, and also as a white person living in New Mexico, I often get discriminated by people that are not white, whether they're Indian or whether they're Hispanic. So I have felt it. In fact, that's partially the issue. That is partially why this government in this state sold my children, I think, is because it's in part a racist thing. So I think I can empathize.
I believe many more people than Hung realizes can emphasize with the idea of that force is wrong. Here's another analogy that I didn't use. I've never been beat up by a cop. I'm going to say I think that's no good. I think that's a pretty bad thing, and I can emphasize when anyone who's beat up by a cop.
Well, I think he was indicating that empathy. I'm not trying to put Hung, if you're still listening, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but the implication was almost that I got out of it was empathy is meaningless. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anything. So why bother doing it? Because you can't really understand it. Well, that doesn't change how people are. I'm wired to feel empathy. That means, I guess, I'm not a sociopath. But it's understandable, and it's part of the human condition. Whether you want me to feel empathy or not, I'm going to feel it.
Empathy is not meaningless because it then allows you to, ask yourself this question before taking an action of, would I want somebody doing this to me?
That would be my argument with Hung. But, to each his own, and if he feels that way, then it's his right to feel that way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Can I comment on, well, actually, just let me do it, and you can cut me off if you need to. You were talking about problems earlier, and I forget the exact topic, but one solution I had, government doing things that we, the people, don't agree with. Here's what it was, is they were spending taxpayer money on to get somebody off of their property, to take the property, and we all don't agree with that. What I say is we need to universally implement some citizen review in all aspects of government, so that when there is a controversial thing that our government does, the citizen review board, instead of the executive, actually has the final veto power on something. Do you follow me on that?
So
well, I do, but that's
a watcher of the watchman, or
right.
a watchman of the watcher.
But that would require a constitutional amendment.
Right, and also depending on how they appoint members of that oversight commission, it would probably be like a lot of these independent review boards that are made up of people that are connected to the police chief and the Speaker of the House.
It's just another level of cronyism.
Yeah.
Well, I have a solution for it. I pondered exactly what you just presented, and I've come up with solutions for that. So,
please share.
So I think
share. Can you share in a couple minutes?
Yeah. For instance, this is not binding. This is just my brainstorming. But for instance, you break it down into whatever localities. This group of people is going to send some people to the citizen review board. Obviously, you can't force people to do it. So people that are actually willing to participate throw their hat in the ring, and then you could either draw them randomly, which is probably the best thing to do, or people can throw their hat in, and then the people in that community decide, which ones that they think are the cream of the crop that are willing to do it, and then you draw them randomly. So there are ways to prevent the cronyism you're talking about.
I don't know.
We have a hard enough time getting people to vote.
Well, not only that,
and the people who do volunteer their time are usually the do-gooders who think they know better than us, and they've got it, and they have an agenda.
We also have a hard enough time trying to find people to actually run for office.
Right.
There are a lot of offices up for election in New Hampshire every 2 years, and there are some of them where nobody files, others where one person files for the office,
and it's usually a part of the do-gooder, good old boys club.
Well, here's where I do admire your idea. What you do is you acknowledge there's a problem, and you try to come up with a solution to it, whether it would work or not, or whether it would be feasible or not, or whether government would actually allow it to exist is a whole nother question. But that's the great thing. You come up with some ideas, and we kick them around.
There are some places where it would be possible, and those are places like Colorado and Washington, to where the voters are able to petition things onto the ballot to make these constitutional changes. It would not be able to happen in a place like New Hampshire, to where you have to go and lobby 400 men and women in the state house and 24 people in the Senate to get them to make any kind of change. And they don't want to make any kind of change because, well, it's always been like this.
Well, not all of them would say that.
All of them,
you're putting
but
them all into one big bucket.
The majority,
that's
and that
the
would
important
prevent
part.
it from happening.
Yeah.
There are things that exist in New Hampshire that do not exist anywhere else in the country. Like, we've got this thing called the Executive Council that is a 5-headed lieutenant governor. Our Secretary of State and our Attorney General are elected, quote unquote, by the members of the legislature. So nobody can file a petition of candidacy or affidavit of candidacy saying, I want to run for the position of Secretary of State. No, you have to find a member of the New Hampshire General Court to put your name into nomination on what they call Organization Day. And since 1985, the only name entered into nomination has been that of William Gardner. The clerk then, or rather the speaker, the person presiding, directs the clerk to cast a single ballot for William Gardner and declare the election closed. That is how our Secretary of State gets elected here. It doesn't happen like that anywhere else in the country. David, thanks. For the call. And we'll be back tomorrow, as we are all 7 nights of the week, online in the meantime at freetalklive.com. And don't forget, you can find Conan over at citizenkane.org. That's Kane spelled C-A-I-N, citizenkane.org. We are online at freetalklive.com.
Here's money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time.